Hey guys, welcome back to episode 4 of the Slipstream. Today we're discussing the WEC and endurance racing. I'm Ash.
I'm Trey.
I'm Sachet.
And we're going to start us off by talking about what goes down in the WEC league. So, as I know, there are 15 teams in the league. I know that there's Mercedes, McLaren, BMW.
So to kind of give you out the full list, there are 15 teams that race either in 2 or both different series of cars. There is an LMGT3 series, which is basically the GT series of cars. It goes a little bit slower than the hypercar, but it has more durability and aerodynamics, and it can withstand more.
Woo, dude. Okay, wait, what's GT? What's hypercar?
Oh, yeah. So GT is... How can I describe it? It's kind of like those cars that you see at the, I don't know, like Chevrolet or Ford or kind of like GMC
kind
dealerships.
Kind of like those big name companies.
Very big name companies.
Okay.
And it's kind of immersed itself into the racing world. It's been a big part of it since the mid-20th century. Hypercar, it's a bit of a more fixated version of the GT. It goes faster. There's more horsepower behind the engines, and it just allows for more on-track action, including overtakes, passes, and even in the pit lane.
Okay. And which teams drive Hyper Race and which ones drive, I'm sorry, what was it? The GT?
It's the GT.
GT, yeah.
GT. So there are 2 classes, GT and Hypercar. Mercedes, McLaren, Lexus, Ford, and Corvette all race in the GT3 series. Alpine, Cadillac, Toyota, and Peugeot race solely in the hypercar series, but there are some teams that have enough investments and enough popularity to race in both, including Ferrari, BMW, Aston Martin, and Porsche. They race in both specs, so it allows them more opportunity to collect more points, more wins, and more money.
Oh, okay. So in one WEC league, we have only GT cars.
Yes.
Another WEC league, we have only
Hypercars.
Hypercars, thank you.
Yes.
And then the other league, we have both.
Exactly.
Okay.
Correct.
So basically, the point system is kind of set up like in a NASCAR race, because NASCAR is kind of like endurance racing, but WEC, there are 3 different types of endurance races: 6-hour long, 8-hour long, 12-hour long, and of course, the 24 hours of Le Mans.
Yes.
Le Mans, yes.
One of the most iconic races in motorsport history, and unfortunately, one of the most lethal races, honestly.
Absolutely. It's a test for your endurance, truly. These drivers, there are 3 drivers that switch out, and truly, it's just amazing to see these drivers like thug it out for 24 hours.
24 hours, like
24
that
hours.
Is serious dedication
And
right there.
it's not just dedication for the driver's side, it's also dedication for the team side, how much work they've put into different components like the belly pan, the structure of the car, and the engine, and especially, I am going to reiterate this, I sound like a broken record, but durability and reliability.
Of course, it's a 24-hour race. If you don't have a durable car, like, what are you doing?
You're done for.
Of course.
How does the engine for this league differ from the V12 engine in F1?
For WEC, they are also V8 engines, and it says here for the LMP2 class, and the top hypercar manufacturers design their own engines. So each of these manufacturers has actually designed their own engines in comparison to Formula One, where they borrow from bigger name teams and bigger name brands. Turbocharged hybrid systems of V6 or V8 configurations. And of course, there are brands that are Alpine, Aston Martin, and Ferrari that employ unique power plants for their own competitive cars.
Absolutely. Going into the movie industry, just pivoting real quick, I know that there has been so much popularity with the F1 movie, but I think we've completely ignored the other.
Yes.
One of my favorite car movies, Gran Turismo.
Yes, the story of Jan Mardenborough,
Yes.
who actually, this is an interesting story because Jan Mardenborough is, I believe, the first Le Mans winner to have gotten his prior training from simulations and video games. So essentially the plot of the movie goes is that there's this Welsh-British kid by the name of Jan Mardenborough, 20, 21 something years old, dropped out of college, and spends a lot of his time outside of work playing simulation games on endurance racing games like Forza, WEC.
And he has a great setup going on. He has multiple monitors, and he is very locked into this video game. And what happens from there is that there's this competition online where if you place first in this video game, you can actually get to drive one of these cars. And I believe he didn't, it wasn't clear or something, but he was super surprised that he got to become one of those drivers to drive the Le Mans.
So I believe it was a bit of a training program.
Yes, it was a training program.
That these people who won the pre-qualifications had to go through in order to test their strength and endurance, because in endurance racing in real life, it's much different than a simulator game. You have to have a well-controlled diet, you have to have focus, you have to have discipline, stamina, and you have to have even, I would say, a good sleeping habits.
Right. And this training program was one of its kind. Like, they've never done anything like this before. Imagine trying to, I don't know, you're a professional soccer player and you're trying to recruit someone who plays Wii soccer sports. It's of that, you know,
or
level.
if you're trying to
kind of
recruit,
caliber, you know.
or trying to recruit somebody into the military who's only played Black Ops 2 or Cold War.
And so people thought this was ridiculous, especially the professionals in the sport, the coaches, the principals, the other drivers. I was thinking, like, this is insane. He put in the work.
He was pretty consistent with his qualifying performances, and I don't know if this was for purely dramatization, but he had a couple of comes-togethers with an American driver who absolutely pissed me off. Pissed me off more than Sonny Hayes in the F1 movie, honestly.
Absolutely.
And he kind of prevented him from taking the necessary steps and putting in the necessary performances to get his FIA license up until the Dubai feature race, in which he was able to just shimmy out in fourth place, collect that FIA license, and lo and behold, he was able to make a pretty big name for himself at the start, at least.
Yes, absolutely. And his coach was also quite a unique choice, because I think he was kicked off of multiple teams for having a differing coach opinion from the norm.
And it's because he was also, I believe, an engineer or worked just like solely on the cars, but not like with the upper management of the team.
He was an engineer and he worked on the cars a lot, so he was very in tune with the car, and many did not think he had the coaching abilities to train these drivers.
Right, he felt intimidated.
He did feel intimidated, and many drivers did not believe in his ability to know the circuit. He really took on a risk with Jan, and Jan was totally receptive to it.
Of course, and it didn't go like this in chronological order, but there was a crash that happened, I believe it was at the Nordschleife in 2015 with Jan Martinborough, where he took a little bit too fast on the main straight, and his car flipped over, overturned, and crashed into the crowd, which unfortunately took the life of one spectator. And he says in an interview at the Breakfast Club that it's a moment that he really does not like to talk about. But then again,
understandably,
this affected his mental health a lot.
But then again, he reminded himself that this is his career, and he didn't come all this way and pull off so many miracles for nothing. So, of course, it didn't come without its rocky roads and its doubts, but he is still a very high-class, tenacious driver.
Absolutely. I've been keeping up with him a bit in this day and age, and he's been performing pretty well. And the team that he drove for, is that a real team, or was that just for dramatization in the movie?
Oh gosh, I forgot. Was it? I believe it was for dramatization.
Okay.
If I correct me if I'm wrong, but his performance and his participation in Le Mans in 2014 was all real. He managed to stand on top of the podium.
Yes.
And he managed to take everybody's breath away.
Oh, absolutely. And in the WEC in which he raced, who is the dominating team in the league right now?
The very dominant team in the league right now has to be far and away Ferrari. Which is so freaking ironic. If you look at the formula spec, in comparison to the endurance spec, it feels like They
night
They're
and day,
planets away.
practically.
Their
They are
solar
planets away.
system. It's crazy.
That's the odd thing about Italian pride. They seem to take pride
Italian pride.
in
Really.
the bigger name stuff rather than the more consistent stuff.
I mean, that's true. I do think that's true. This is more because of a high investment.
This is definitely a high investment in the WEC series because they've seen more commercial success. So therefore, it's easier to continue developing something that isn't broken. And listen, it's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I agree. Okay. Yeah. Why did they Ferrari put so much importance into the WEC league?
I don't know why. I don't know if it was due to some kind of macroeconomic investment or, well, if you look at the history of Ferrari, they started off very much as an endurance racing kind of car.
Okay.
Well, they started off originally as a sports car, luxury designer brands, and then endurance racing was more so the bigger face of motorsport racing in the early to mid 20th century in comparison to Formula Series. So they took a head start in investing there.
And you would think that they would shift some of those resources to Formula One now because it's a popular sport and they just have more audience interaction. They have more fan favorites. You would think that, they would make that shift, but I mean, I guess not.
Yeah, I guess not. And maybe it's just a malicious organization of the academies in which these drivers step up. Like, we haven't heard a lot from Teo Pourchaire or even any kind of, relative returns in the Formula One world from people like Antonio Giovinazzi, who absolutely prospered in his endurance racing career and is still prospering as we speak. I mean, he won Le Mans in 2023, and Ferrari has won pretty much every single Le Mans race since 2023, 3 in a row, which I think is the first time they did it since the 1970s or 80s. And yeah, it's just a very suspicious kind of topic to go over. They just invested too much of their nationality into F1 instead of their consistency.
And how many drivers are in each team for the GT3 and the Hypercar series?
3 per team, but I could be wrong, and I only kind of know that because of
I think it's about 3 per team, maybe WEC. 4 per team.
Fourth being the reserve driver. I do know that.
Sometimes they will. I don't know. Are they allowed to put in the reserve driver whenever they want, and not just under circumstance if one of their actual drivers has another event or sick? Do you know if they're allowed to do that?
I'm not exactly sure either. This is a new format to me.
This is definitely a new format.
It's a lot to take in.
But of course, speaking of the format of WEC, they actually make sure they take it seriously because, again, it's a long-form race. So there is a free practice session every Friday and then 2 separate qualifying sessions for the GT3 and Hypercar specs. And that leads into a 6-hour or an 8-hour race, and then the recurring 24 hours of Le Mans. And of course, there are a lot of pretty big highlights that we need to cover in not just the world of solely WEC drivers, but other drivers who have gone from other leagues into WEC.
Going into the 2025 Le Mans, I kept up with it a little bit. It was 24 hours, so I was looking for updates here and there, but how did it go?
Okay, so the previous 24-hour of Le Mans this past June, Robert Kubica won Le Mans. I believe it was his first victory in any kind of race format since Formula One when he won Canada 2008.
Really?
So this was a 17-year wait. Robert Kubica was recruited into the Sauber Academy in Formula One 2007, and he put in some pretty consistent performances up until he got his first and only win at the 2008 Canadian Grand Prix, and he was contending for the title in the first half of the 2008 season. Unfortunately, he ended off in 4th place, and then he transferred from Sauber at the end of 2009 to Ferrari in 2000. No, it was Renault. He was supposed to transfer to Ferrari, but he went to Renault in 2010. Continued to be a pretty consistent front runner and podium scorer compared to the likes of Vitaly Petrov and a couple of other reserve driver teammates. And then in 2011, he unfortunately got into a rally accident that completely shattered his left hand. and
Wow.
he was no longer able to race for pretty much the next 2-3 years. He had to go into one of the longest periods of recovery for pretty much any driver in motorsport history.
That is crazy. That is incredible. And I hear that Alonso's name was also recurring in Le Mans, and I did not know that he had history.
Yes,
in
he
a
actually
WEC
does
format.
have history in WEC. So you remember his pretty unfortunate 2015 to 2018
Absolutely.
McLaren stint, McLaren Honda. It didn't work out for him, so he left at the end of the 2018 season.
Okay.
And he participated in 2018 Le Mans, which he actually took completely by storm. Pretty much a flawless victory from beginning to end. And not only that, he went back in 2019, did it all over again, and then he took a bit of a break, started doing some test driving, including testing his 2003 rental car at Yas Marina Circuit in 2020. And then he got picked up by Alpine Formula One team in 2021. So I'd say that Alonso's glory days, if we're looking at it subjectively, are going to be more so in the WEC format than the
league.
Formula One format.
And that is understandable, because whoever has raced in Formula One, making the switch to any other format is very easy for them.
And I think we see this in Brendan Hartley. Do you remember Brendan Hartley, Toro Rosso New Zealand driver from 2018?
Not exactly. Go ahead.
Okay, so Brendan Hartley was switched in. He stepped in for Daniel Kvyat after he got kicked out from Toro Rosso after the Singapore Grand Prix 2017. And he raced from Japan 2017 all the way to Abu Dhabi 2018 season finale. He was very unlucky and very much a victim to circumstance, including one of the fastest crashes in a free practice session at the British Grand Prix 2018. I believe it was a 60G impact into the barriers. He came out unscathed, and of course he had a collision with Lance Stroll in the opening lap of the 2018 Canadian Grand Prix in the Williams. And then he made a switch to WEC, and I believe he won the 2021 Le Mans, 24 Hours at Le Mans, and he also put in some pretty consistent performances and got on the podium often.
Right. So Formula One is such a competitive format. There's so much work you have to put into this. Driving in the car, development, training, diet, it plays such a big part, especially the the G forces that go into each turn is significantly more than any other league. So making that switch from Formula One to WEC for Alonso and Brendan Hartley, I think you said his name was, is super understandable. And another key figure in Formula One last year, Logan Sargent, who got dropped. I was personally a big Logan fan just because he was the only American driver. And I've been just waiting for his return back into motorsport. And a few weeks ago, he actually announced that he's going to be dominating the IndyCar League, which we will be talking about in future episodes.
Did he say dominating?
I think he will definitely dominate because it's a pattern.
If he said dominating, I would say, we love you, kid. We don't know what a kilometer is, but don't get on your high horse.
I think, no, I'm on my high horse. I think he will dominate IndyCar because, again, as I've said before, making the switch from Formula One to any other league,
it is,
especially IndyCar, it's very easy to get those high positions.
Well, Ramon Grosjean would like to have a word with you on that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but anyway, so yeah, Logan Sargent returning to IndyCar. We'll see how that goes. But on the subject of WEC, we want to talk about Cadillac's first ever win. Sachi, you want to take us away?
Oh, yeah,
yes.
absolutely. So Cadillac, they had their first ever win pretty recently this year in like the summer
6 hours of
6
Interlagos.
hours Interlagos, and
summer
if
of
I am not
2023.
I think it was
mistaken-
actually this past summer.
This past summer?
This
Okay.
past summer, Interlagos 6 hours race. They took their first ever win in WEC history, but the first podium since Le Mans summer 2023 again, which Giovinazzi won with the Ferraris. And it's pretty shocking to see them this high, because if you consider the fact that they got a double disqualification with the GT cars at the opening race in Qatar 2024 and didn't even score in the top 5, I believe, in 2023 when they made the return for the first time since 27 years. It is an absolute step up for them. It's going to provide them so much money and bonuses, so much popularity, so much trust amongst stockbrokers and investors, and it's going to give them a bit of a better reputation if they can just keep it up.
Okay, I see. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, definitely. So for this Cadillac race, I mean, Hertz, Team Hota, I'm pretty sure you've heard of them.
Right, of
G-O-T-A,
course.
yes. So Norman Nato, Alex Lynn, and Will Stevens were the ones driving in that race. And Norman Nato, according to my research, was the one who, spearheaded this operation. He was, the engineer for the car.
Yes.
Yes, correct. And he was also the one to, be the one to kind of strategize when to take the turns, how sharp you want to take them, et cetera, and that kind of led to their car one of their cars finishing 57 seconds ahead of their sister cars. So that was a pretty monumental win.
Even then, it's a bit of a delta gap in WEC. Of course, it's nothing super close like in NASCAR, F1, or even MotoGP, but even then, 57 seconds is still pretty more than significant in WEC.
Indeed.
And I want to just go over a little bit about Alex Lynn. This is his first win, and he has only been racing so far for 3 seasons. Second career podium, currently 68 points, and is tied in 3rd place with his teammates. And I feel like he could be the next, big prospect or big dominant figure in WEC. I'm not trying to compare him to anything like a Max Verstappen. I'm not Kyle Larson. I don't get on my high horse like that. But I feel like he could be, in his own regards, a pretty dominant figure in this league. And I think it's time for our trivia games.
Absolutely. I'm excited.
Okay. If you don't know how Trivia Games is going to work, so we are going to be going around answering a series of 10 to 15 questions that focus on the topic of today, this time the topic being WEC. And I was kind of contemplating on what the surprise would be, and I was thinking that it could be winner at the end of this year for these games gets, a free pizza from whatever choice they would like, whatever choice of place they would like.
Sounds good with me.
Okay, so the free pizza is the deal. Okay.
So you guys are going to learn about the WEC League alongside me. So, let's get into it.
All right,
let's do it.
All right. First question from me for you two.
Okay.
Choose which teams have won all 3 or more consecutive Le Mans races.
Bentley. I think it was also, so Ferrari, of course. Scuderia Ferrari. 2 different Ferrari teams. Bentley, Toyota, and they also won. Okay. Scuderia Ferrari, AF Ferrari course, Toyota, and Bentley.
Okay.
Final answers.
All right, let's check them.
It was Audi Motorsport, it was Ferrari, of course, and it was Bentley. So I missed Audi.
Audi, okay.
Okay.
Which driver won the Monaco Grand Prix of 2006 and back-to-back victories in 2018 and 2019 at the Le Mans, but retired midway through the Indy 500 in 2017?
Oh, maybe I didn't think this through, but I think we just talked about it. It was Fernando Alonso.
Yep.
Fernando Alonso.
Sorry to give it away.
Whoops.
Which two circuits host the only night races for the WEC calendar?
I think it was Qatar. It's got to be Qatar because it's in the middle of the desert. And do you want to go with Circuit of the Americas? Texas?
I was thinking Japan, but Circuit of the Americas seems a bit more.
Do you want to add Japan, or do you want to Circuit of the Americas, Qatar, and add Japan? Or?
Yeah, let's add Japan.
Okay, so it is Circuit of the Americas and Lusail International Circuit Qatar, but not Japan.
Okay, all right.
Not Japan.
What are we, 3 for 3 maybe? Almost?
About 3 for 3, like 2.5.
Yeah, okay. Name 5 former F1 drivers who are actively driving in WEC. Bonus points if you can name which teams they drove for.
Oh boy. It's got to be Will Stevens is one of the drivers. He drove for like a way back team, way back when.
Okay.
Okay. Will Stevens. Brendan Hartley, I believe.
All right.
Sachin, you want to
Yeah,
add anybody?
Alex Lynn, I think he drove with F1 for a stint, did he not?
I don't think so. I don't think Alex Lynn drove for any stints in F1. It might have been... Okay, so we have Will Stevens.
Brendan.
We have Brendan Hartley. I think we have... Is Jenson Button? No, wait, Mick Schumacher. Mick
Not-
Schumacher.
Okay.
Mick Schumacher.
Mick Schumacher, not Jensen Button.
Alpine. Mick Schumacher and Alpine. Jenson Button, he's in NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh. Give me a record. No.
No?
He drove for NASCAR crafted trucks. Okay, I think we only have 3. So
Yeah, so let's just say
Let's see who are the others.
Fernando Alonso and Robert.
we have Kamui
Kubica.
Kobayashi.
Okay.
So Robert Kubica, Kamui Kobayashi, Sebastian Buemi, Fernando Alonso. He drives part-time, so I don't know if he counts full-time.
And Brendan
Hartley. So we got, I believe it was 3 out of what could have been 5 or more.
And which F1 teams did he move? Did they move from?
Okay, so
And which
Brendan Hartley moved.
WEC teams did they move to?
Okay, so Will Stevens, I believe he was in either Marussia or HRT 2014. Stoffel Van Dorn, he was in McLaren Formula 1. Brendan Hartley was in Toro Rosso. Sebastian Buemi was also in Toro Rosso a few years before he was. Kamui Kobayashi, Japanese driver who drove for Sauber. And then Robert Kubica, who drove for Sauber, BMW Sauber. Renault, Williams, and Mick Schumacher, who was a driver in the Haas Formula 1 team.
Got it. Okay. And which WEC teams did they move to?
WEC, I believe Robert Kubica moved to Ferrari. Mick Schumacher moved to Alpine. He was in talks with Cadillac, but he moved to Alpine. He's staying with Alpine. Brendan Hartley was a Toyota driver, and so was Kamui Kobayashi, Japanese brand, Japanese driver, kind of goes colloquially.
All right. Which Swiss-French driver has had the longest WEC career in the modern age of racing?
Sebastian Buemi.
All right. Is that correct?
Sebastian Buemi.
Yes, it is.
From 2012 to now. He's been
Wow.
racing since 2012, and I think he also does Formula E full-time.
All right. Next question. Which driver retired from the 24-hour of Le Mans with less than 100 meters to the finish line, and which team did he drive for? I know.
Oh, that was so...
That was devastating.
Desperate. Oh my gosh. It was Felipe Massa in the Toyota Hypercar series.
Yup. And if you guys remember in the last episode, I told you I'm a big fan of
man.
Felipe Massa.
Listen, as much of an egotistical prick he can be, you have to feel bad for him. He is arguably more unlucky than Alonso on so many levels.
On so many levels. This was a crazy car failure that I can't. This is the.
It's kind of like Jenson Button in Australia 2006. Remember a fire blew out the back of his car with 150 meters to go from the racing start finish line?
Yes, like Jenson Button and Felipe Massa are some of the most devastating DNFs that I cannot. Maybe we can add Lando's Dutch Grand Prix.
Yeah,
from
maybe
Sunday
we can
to
add
it.
that. Or maybe George Russell's Singapore 2023 crash into the wall.
Wait, that one's a good one.
Yes.
That one's a good one. Added to the depression list.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, we got a true or false question.
Okay.
Aston Martin races in both the GT and hypercar specs of WEC. We said this in the beginning of the podcast.
Yes.
True.
It's true. It's true.
Okay.
Another true or false.
Okay.
Jackie X has won the Le Mans the most times with 6 victories to his name.
No.
he has not.
And if we see here, Tom Christensen, 9 wins. People have proclaimed him as Mr. Le Mans because of all of his victories and his dominance and his persistence throughout the competition.
Oh, that's amazing. You know what would be a really controversial true or false question?
What?
Ooh.
If Lewis Hamilton, how many times did he win the world championship? Was it 7 or 8?
Oh, no.
It's already controversial enough as it
True or
is.
false? Lewis Hamilton won the world championship 7 times.
Look, I'm just gonna, okay, in all seriousness, I'm gonna come out and say it. True. He deserved to win the race.
He
but
deserved to win the
Verstappen
eighth
deserved
one.
the championship.
That is true. That is true.
Championship for Verstappen, Abu Dhabi 2021, Hamilton.
Good answer. Good answer. Which circuit is the shortest on the WEC calendar in terms of track length and race length?
Well, it's the Interlagos track. I mean, it's only about 2.5 miles, 2.5-ish miles long,
wow.
and
Okay.
it was, I think it is one of 2 6-hour races.
Okay.
And of course, we just discussed it as Cadillac took their first ever win in the team's history.
That's correct. And complete the sentence. And I can actually answer this myself. I have the sea like it's full of water, like completely full of it.
It must be the water.
So this is actually not a WEC League question at all. This is a Formula One question.
That
Charles
snuck its way
Leclerc. Charles Leclerc.
It was the
It's the
2025 Australian Grand Prix, the season opener.
The season opener.
There was a bit of overcast on the clouds above, and he felt like he had a seat kind of like full of water. I don't know if it was overcast or a water container leak.
Yes, it was.
But the engineer, we already know that his 2 engineers, both Xavi and Brian, are very in the head. And this is how his engineer responded. He said, must be the water. Where would the water came from? And he said, let's add this to the words of wisdom. Because, of course, the most wisdomous team just knows that it was the water. That's what the water was.
I swear, Formula One radio messages are the funniest thing ever.
Literally. And it couldn't have been done without Kimi Räikkönen, of course, having his iconic moments. But I think that just about wraps it up for today's episode revolving around WEC. Please tune in next weekend when we talk about NASCAR
and any motorsport topics that you guys want us to talk about, want our opinions on, please DM us in our Instagram, the Slipstream, and we will definitely create a special episode or 2 for you guys.
Of course, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channels and make sure you listen to us on Spotify, turn on the notification bells. Once again, I'm Trey.
I'm Ash.
I'm Sachet.
And we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.